But even so, it ain't cause of like our shit is broke down to like what part of the city you from. Right. They ain't like, oh, well, you from East Asia. We don't rock with you. Well, East China. You East Chinese.
Right. North Korean, South Korean.
Well, that's again though two different. That's two different places.
Right.
But I don't know. I think
you could be a block over, or
yeah. For us, it's too.
And don't
it's
own
too
it.
ridiculous, right? Yeah. And that's the other thing. We have
like,
no ownership in these places, and we killing each other over the street signs.
Yeah.
So it get ridiculous. I don't know. That's part of the culture that I'm waiting to see mature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of maturing, hip hop is past 50 now.
Yeah,
we're
that's
having
beautiful.
a lot of debates on where we're heading. A lot of folks feel like there should be more power systems that we own or control in the culture. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. What do you think about where we're heading?
Me personally, I don't think that's what's really important. Who runs it or who the gatekeepers are. I think like right now you could weigh the argument that it's too wide open. Anybody could get in. Mm-hmm. But in that same notion, that's a good thing because that means nobody's in your way. Nobody's stopping you. Mm-hmm. And of course it's flooded. So, you got to really do you to stand out from all of it. But it's easier now than ever. Mm-hmm. For so take a person who truly loves music and wants to become something. Now it's less barriers in order to do that. You don't have to go and stand outside of the. You used to have to come to New York and stand outside of the labels and try to catch somebody coming out in order for them to even hear you rap, and then go from there. Mm-hmm. It was a point in time where demos did work, and then of course as it progressed, they start throwing them in a room. Mm-hmm. But either way, there was a time where that's what you needed. So you had to go and pay a fortune to even get in the studio just to do 4 songs, so you can turn around and start trying to shop your demo. Mm-hmm. You fast forward to now, you don't gotta shop you can go make your first song ever, and you can put it through DSPs right now. Now, again, for a person that actually loves it, that wants to do it, that's been their dream, that's no better time to be able to do that. Right. Of course, the flip side is you got people who are going to do it just for fun, and they might get they day sooner than the person who truly loves it. Right. But just like everything else in life, nothing that came quick was worth holding on to anyway. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, I think the focus should mainly be on you doing what you do. Right. I think a lot of times when you get caught in the trends, a lot of the trend, that's why the trending music don't last as long as the music with the substance, because you're not doing what's true to you. You're not doing the music that you find near and dear, or the music that speaks to you. You're doing what so and so is doing, and if that's the case, when it burns out for so and so, it burns out for you. Mm-hmm. I don't think it really, at least in my opinion, I don't think it really matters who gets to facilitate it, because the more technology and the more it enhances the wider it become. Like right now, you used to have to go and sit. Master P had to go sit down with somebody to get that distribution deal. Right. Same for Baby. Same for Tech Nine. Like, these people had to go and do physical leg work to make that happen. And now all you gotta do is sign up, and you got a distribution deal. You got DistroKid and TuneCore. I think that's how you say it.
TuneCore, yeah.
Right. It's a very long list, and it's growing. Yeah. So
I think we have to. I understand that as like a concern, but I think we have to take control over what we can, which is owning the influence that we have as a culture. Because, even at this time, the industry existed before hip-hop was a thing. And in every genre of music, what ends up happening is something gets taken away from it. And it's happening in real time. hip hop is morphing and merging with other genres of music like country, and you're getting all these fusion records and otherwise, which is it's like a yin and yang to it. Like I think the acknowledgement of the influence is there, but what happens is there's so much in hip hop that's like almost literally poisonous. Like the so much of, I'm not saying ours, but the messages within are so destructive, and then we'll let another genre of music come and like take the lifeline of it, which is the beat, which is the rhythm, which is the nuance of, you know what I'm saying, cadence and otherwise, and they gonna apply it with all of their themes and otherwise and run off with it if we don't take hold of it and have something, like you said, that's sustainable.
Yeah.
Like soul, like message. True. Like rap used to be the news for the hood. And now it's just like horror story. Or like I mean, I'm saying this is a lifelong rap fan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I watched it change, and that's where we are in our lives and careers. Like we're very, very, very intentional and very mindful to like tell it like it is and give a full range and broad perspectives, because that is gonna last. That's gonna stay. You're gonna be able to come back to this and be like, man, 2025, these dudes was talking about some things that mattered. Yeah. At the least matter to us. Yeah. True that. And for sure there's gotta be some like-minded people out there. And even as independent artists, like you said, because we got more access, it's like it's less time or less room to make excuses for the way things are. Yeah, we got all these access points. Like somebody can have a $10 million budget and a building, a machine behind them, and they put out some bullshit. It's just some bullshit, and it's like versus, or they can put out something that's just an agenda's behind it or backing it. Now you can have somebody that's doing it out of their bedroom, and it's real and it's true. Like he got on from just pouring out his heart, pouring out his soul, and revealing his true self and where he was right there in that moment. No frills, on a $100 camera, and he had the tools to share it. Yeah. And look at what it's blossomed into. And so it's kind of like, well, you can't say that we don't control anything when that's an origin story that's led to 15 years of, you know what I'm saying? He's in a far better position in every way, and he ain't compromised himself or his message along the way. So for every Don Trip, there's 100 other kids or somebody, you know what I'm saying, with that spark in them, and it ain't time for us to say, man, we should be doing this as a culture. Well, then do your part, you know what I'm saying, and stick to your guns and stand on that. Because what happened is that same industry came beating his door down, you know what I'm saying, and trying to make it happen with him. But a lot of times I feel like people lose that spark and just kind of fall in, and look at what's happening on the other side of it. They putting lots of money into like, hey, let's take away from what we know works for them over there and apply it to, you know what I'm saying, because that's just what it is. But I think we gotta be true. We gotta preserve the essence of this thing, you know what I'm saying. This thing of ours is hip hop culture at large.
Are you guys, as I thought about you guys, you were doing your business stuff, that's important too. Like most people, when you talk about people just uploading stuff, like that's why they capped off how you can upload, because everybody was just, I mean, meaning like the threshold for payout was like 0 at first. Then they put it at 1,000 because it seemed like everybody was just uploading so much. But the marketing, the videos, and the other aspects of it, do you enjoy that aspect of it, or is that annoying to you? Does it take away from what you really love doing? Because most artists aren't thinking about the other things that make projects successful.
I think I kind of look at that like maintaining my house. Okay. If you want to own a house, then it comes with some responsibilities. At some point I'm speaking from experience. At some point you gotta buy new air conditioning units. You gotta get new hot water heaters. You gotta redo your gutters. You gotta get new shingles on your roof. That's if you want to maintain this house. I mean, if you want to keep this house, you're gonna have to maintain it. Right. And same for us. If we want to keep our livelihood. And us being independent, that means I can't call somebody to take care of it. I can pay somebody to take care of it.
Right.
But no other person's going to, I got to be the person to be proactive in that manner. Yeah. And the same thing for our careers. When it comes to the marketing, the leg work, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Yeah. And in that same regard, even if there is a person, it's a flip side. You can be signed to a label. There are people that do these things. Yeah. But even in that sense, if you ain't proactive, if you don't believe in you, why would somebody else believe in you? Yeah. And in our cases, we kind of we don't have the luxury of not leading by example.
Mm-hmm. I think, to double down on what he said, I do enjoy the marketing part of it, because to me, marketing is storytelling. Mm-hmm. And we're already like vivid storytellers on the lyrical side and on a production and creating the music. But it's this, as it said, no one can tell your story better than you. Yeah. So even as you outsourcing with PR firms and people that do marketing, like, you gotta understand your vision for yourself and how you want to present yourself. And in this case, a project, like, there's a full story behind it. Now, sure, if I can get you to sit down and listen to a 51-minute album, maybe you'll get that. But part of the challenge is I got to get you to sit down and listen to that and to get the full scope of it. So I welcome the challenge of, like, how can we present this? How can we, maybe, if I can get 3 minutes of your time, how can I turn that 3 minutes and parlay that into 51 minutes, or into you getting into my back catalog, or you anticipating the next thing? And just as a hustler, I understand that, like, what are you without customers? Right. Whatever your product is, people got to know you got it. You know what I'm saying? And I know we got a high value product, so it's like, first step one is get the word out. And so, that's the biggest part of my hustle, is knowing that you can't skip no steps. And like you said, one, even if people are behind you or helping, supporting, empowering, they got to believe in you, and nobody gonna believe in you if they don't see that you believe in yourself. And so I've like, as a true independent, I had to learn how to do everybody's job. Like, I know how to work them cameras back there. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could tweak the audio if it came to that. Because when it's time to fix things, I think a handy person has a leg up on maintaining their house. If you know what I'm saying? And that's just, like I said, the ethics of it as a hustler is like, I embrace the marketing side and this part of it as much as writing the raps, or
When y'all listen to the old, when you go back and listen, first of all, do you go back and listen?
Not often.
Not often. Okay.
Not
occasionally. Not, and for me, not while we're creating.
Definitely not while I'm creating.
Okay.
But even in my leisure, I don't much go. I don't look at old pictures, so I don't really listen to
Why not?
old music. I don't know.
Pictures are good.
I don't never really focus on what it used to be.
Yeah.
I'm only trying to progress. I was there. I remember it. Now I'm trying to build something for the future.
Okay.
And I don't know. I guess that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to that.
Now, they say, well, I have a philosophy that you can become depressed looking back. Like, you could be like, man, it was so good back then. I mean, man, I wish it was.
Well,
like
see,
that.
I grew up in a family with a lot of with alcoholics and addicts, and I'm a person that I guess I overanalyze people or in situations. So growing up, they used to tell us, they get lit and tell you the same story you've been hearing for 30 years. So at some point I started like piecing together these stories, like, your version of it, your brother's version, your mama version, and, I started making whole stories. Yeah. And what I gathered collectively is that it's not that they telling you the same story because they got no more stories. They telling you their glory years. And in most cases, once you reach a certain age, the glory years are over. So for me, that's how I live. I live like my glory days are ahead of me.
Right.
So I ain't really focused on what happened. We speak on it. I'm I might I won't say reminisce. I might recollect, but I never get stuck in what used to be. Maybe when I think about people that didn't survive this long.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really I don't backtrack. I don't do my personal montages. I'm just like I get it. I know where I came from. I never forget that, but I know where I want to go, and I don't know. I think what Jelly Roll said your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror for a reason. And that's just how I live. Like I'm trying to see what's ahead of me, not so much what's behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of deep. I think it's value both ways to having tunnel vision or facing forward. I also think there's a lot of lessons. As I say, learning from mistakes, learning from experience, and otherwise. But it can go either way because I'm definitely equally familiar with people being stuck in certain places, and I think that could lead to what you were saying about the depression part of it, or it's depressing. I've seen it in certain regards. I've like my dad had a brain injury, had a closed head trauma, and for large parts of my childhood, he would talk about the same time period, and I heard the same stories, and I realized that he was kind of stuck there, or maybe on account of his injury. But I've also heard and saw something about artists that a lot of times wherever they peak or first see success, they end up stuck there, artistically.
Right.
And so even I've seen it with some of my favorite artists where they're trying to make that record that they broke through from. And I can remember hearing that, and as an artist, I had a record, I had a Grey Goose a club record, and I signed a deal and otherwise, and it was like that's what they wanted over and over. And early on, I'm like, that ain't me. That's not the end all be all. Right. Same thing. I'm sure he was encouraged to make letter to my son, or make letter to your daughter, make a letter to your dog, and whatever, because this is the business of music. Yeah. And it's like, well, it worked, so it'll work again. But for sure, I've seen artists stuck there, and you in that same, man, this ain't 99 no more. This ain't 2000 whatever no more. Right. And so I think that's probably why we don't revisit the music in real time while we're creating, because I ain't trying to make that song. Sometimes I like, even as we finished this project, as we were rapping, I went back and compared to the other projects, just almost just taking inventory, like where do I rank this one, or how do I feel about this one versus this one. But because it was done, if I did that in real time, I think it would have taken away from what we were creating. And but I think that's a real thing, because when you do that, if too much reflection, you're gonna compare, you're gonna size it up, and it's just like, man, we was doing numbers at this time. It's like now you weighing that against that, and what you're doing now can feel like a failure. But it's like, this the best that you doing your best right now, you gotta ride the wave of that, and you know what I'm saying, and try to keep going up, and maybe you'll supersede where you were. But as long as you're looking back, it's like, man, like you said, you're gonna run into something. Like, right. For the sake of that analogy.